Hi friends, my name is Maruti and I'm the co-founder of Krakow. In this video, I'll be discussing a study plan that you can follow from now till CAT to do well in the examination. So some of the things that you should remember is that you have close to around say 5 months left for the examination, and you should try to finish the entire portion, or at least 80% of the important portion by the end of August. That is in the next 3 months, June, July and August. The second thing that you should do is at least be very clear. This is especially true for freshers about what are the important topics and what are the not so important topics. Because if you cover the important topics, then at least you will be able to answer 80 to 90% of the paper. And then focus on at least covering most of them as soon as possible. You can cover the important topics, for example, in quant. The important topics, like many of you already know, are arithmetic, algebra, and geometry. Try to finish most of them in the next 2 to 3 months, and also start taking mocks simultaneously. Now, if you're looking at verbal, the only way in which you can improve in verbal is by reading as many articles as you can. So try to make it a habit. Every day, at least try to read 3 or 4 articles from the websites. The websites that many people already know, and I also have mentioned in my streams, are The Guardian, New York Times, New Yorker, Indian Express. In most of these websites, if you don't want to, I would actually recommend you to not follow the political editorials, but any other editorials which relate to the current affairs, I would recommend you to follow. The reason for that is very simple. Some of these editorials on the political space are too biased, and those kind of articles will not come in the examination. In the examination, most of the articles that come will be more balanced. So try to find editorials from these websites which are balanced, and you can find many from these websites that I actually mentioned, articles which are balanced, which are not related to politics. You can look at any of the current affairs. For example, if there is an article on, say, climate change, that will be an interesting article for you to read. If there is an article on, say, economic inequality, again, that will be an interesting article which can be actually asked in the examination, or an article which is similar to that. So try to read at least 1 or 2 articles from these kind of topics which are based on current affairs but not really political, from any one of these websites that I mentioned. This is how you slowly improve in verbal. With respect to LRDA, I would recommend you to start solving the LRDA sets of the previous papers from CAT 2020, CAT 2021 and CAT 2022, all of the slots. The previous papers for all of them are available for free on our Krakow website. So download the PDF and start solving on a daily basis at least 1 or 2 LRDAs from these previous papers. Then you get a good sense of what are the kind of LRDAs that are asked. Because on the day of the examination, you should be very well prepared with at least the commonly asked types of LRDAs. What are the commonly asked LRDAs, commonly asked types of LRDAs? One is an arrangements. What exactly is arrangements? Arrangements is basically you'll be given some information about, say, there are 5 people, all of them have come in 5 different cars, all of them like a particular football team, all of them are sitting across a circular table, who is sitting beside whom, all of these things, you have to basically figure out the arrangement. You are given a list of clues and you have to figure out the final arrangement. These kind of things are actually very straightforward if you know how to actually approach them. Basically, there is a trick that I use where you reiterate through all the clues multiple times, which again I have explained in many of my videos. So this is one type, arrangements. The second one is Venn diagrams. Venn diagrams also is asked sometimes. It is not asked every year, but it is definitely asked at least once every 2-3 years. And it is a fairly simple type of LRDA, which you will definitely get correct if you know how to represent it. So at least figure out how to do the 4 set Venn diagrams, 4 parameter Venn diagrams. What exactly is a 4 parameter Venn diagram? It is like, say there are 4 newspapers, and these 4 newspapers are delivered to apartments. There are, like, say, 100 people who are living in the apartment. Some people read all the 4 newspapers, some people read only 3 newspapers, some people read only 2 newspapers, and some people read only 1 newspaper. Say the names of the newspapers are A, B, C and D, and you are given some information. Basically, you have to figure out how many people like A, B and C, how many people read A and B only, how many people read only C, this kind of a thing. It is a fairly simple type of LRDS that you can easily solve if you know how to represent the 4 parameter Venn diagrams. This is another thing. The next one is basically scheduling. Scheduling is something like there are to finish a product, it has to go through 5 different stages, and there will be some bottlenecks in some stages. Basically, every stage has, say, 2 or 3 machines, and some machine is busy at some time, some machine is free at some time. Or there are another type of scheduling is, say, there are 10 people who have gone to a restaurant. All of them have reached the restaurant at different times, and there are only 4 tables. And every person who is sitting at a table is taking a different amount of time to actually finish his food. So who gets to sit at what time and how much time do they sit? When do they leave the restaurant? These kind of things are scheduling, where basically you have to figure out when a process is being completed and when the next process is starting. This is a scheduling type of set. Essentially, there are 4 or 5 these kind of types which are often asked. Now you should figure out how to at least represent the data for each one of them. Once you know how to represent the data, at least 50% of the job is done in LRDIs. So you'll get an idea about how to represent them only after you solve the previous year's papers. As a side note, I recommend you to solve Sudokus, because I have noticed that the skills that are needed to solve Sudokus help in solving many LRDIs. Another very important type of LRDI is basically a missing values in the table kind of an LRDI, where you have to fill out the entire table and say some number will not repeat in a particular row or a particular column. In these kind of things also, Sudoku definitely helps. So this is basically how you should approach quant, LRDI and verbal. In addition to it, I would recommend you to start plan your study or plan your schedule in such a way that you at least finish most of the important topics by the end of August, so that the last 2 months you can really dedicate to taking as many mocks as you can and fixing up any of the weaknesses that you have. But this doesn't mean that you should put off taking mocks till the end of August. Right now, I would recommend you to take at least one mock every 2 weeks, because consistently, if you're getting feedback about what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, you can improve your process of study. So take a mock in that spirit. You're taking a mock to understand your areas of weakness so that you can work on them. That should be how you approach the mocks. So from now till August, I would recommend you to take one mock every 2 weeks. Focus on completing the portion as much as you can. And from August, start solving as many questions as you can. Start taking more mocks. But start taking mocks right now. One mock every 2 weeks from now till August. And from August, maybe one mock every week. All the best. I hope you do well in CAT.